AbbeyCo's story really begins with the building of this church. As part of the construction financing, and we were a little short when we put all the financing together, and Presbytery stepped in and provided us some ongoing bridge financing. We had 5 acres of land here. We only needed about 2.5 of it to build this sanctuary on, or this church building on. So we decided to use the other 2.5 acres to address the debt situation that we had and help finish the financing of the church. We went into a very long, extensive search as how can we actually use that property in a way that promotes the community, makes a real difference in people's lives, and helps us in terms of paying back the debts that we had. Eventually, we ended up partnering with Del Manor and building the building that's just behind us. It's about 108 suite independent building, retirement building with some assisted living. For the 2.5 acres that we put into the project, at that point was valued around a little less than $900,000. For our 2.5 acres, we got 25% ownership in that building, which we still retain today. Notably, I think it's important for us as a congregation to realize it was really an innovative approach to dealing with an issue that we had. We were the first church in Canada to actually partner with a for-profit entity to do a market rate project and then turn those profits into community work. And it's been repeated now within the United Church, but we were really the first to do that. The purpose really so AbbeyCo really is 2 entities. It's a not-for-profit corporation, and it's also a business trust. The business trust holds the asset in the name of the church. And really, the corporation decides how to spend the money, the profits that come out of the business. So we have to spend that between the beneficiaries of the business trust. Those are Glen Abbey United Church, Horseshoe Falls Region, which is our supervising court, and the United Church itself. And our purpose has really been quite defined from our beginning. It's to participate in God's mission in the world, specifically furthering the mission of the United Church of Canada and Glen Abbey United Church. Priority areas include growth and ministry in the United Church, support for underprivileged people within our community, seniors, youth, and seed money to develop similar projects throughout the United Church. So we're trustees of the business trust. We distribute the profits following a very defined process that we've developed over the years that includes getting grants or getting applications from people, reviewing those around criteria that we've set out, and then ultimately giving grants. So you may ask the question, and unfortunately for the last couple of years, the business hasn't done particularly well due to COVID, due to oversupply in the Oakville market, the economic conditions, but hopefully that will turn around shortly. You may ask, what has happened to that? So what happened to our little less than $900,000? How is that sort of paid back? Well, total proceeds to date are over $3.1 million. Of that, we used about $1.4 million to repay our debts, to set up our capital fund, which has paid for many improvements in the church. And about a little more than $1.7 million has been distributed to our beneficiaries. More importantly, and it was kind of interesting, Ted today used a phrase called lives have been transformed. And that's really the important part of this. Yes, paying off the debts was important, and generating income is important. And actually the value of the business, depending on how you value it, is probably, our equity position is probably in the $6 to $9 million range, depending on occupancies, etc. So, I mean, we've really turned $900,000 into a very substantive fund. But more importantly than that, as Ted talked about, transforming lives. How has that money been used? Well, we've done it on many different bases. Locally, usually with our outreach committee. We've been involved in bringing a number of refugee families to Canada, numerous programs within Glen Abbey, such as a sewing circle, Christmas presents for long-term care communities, capital improvements to the building, along with a long list of community endeavors that we've been involved in sponsoring. Kerr Street Mission, Food for Kids, Fair Share Food Bank, Halton's Women's Place, Hope Place, which is a men's addiction center, Safety Net. We also spent $100,000 in the building fund of the hospital when it was new, and we've actually put equipment into that building as well. On a regional basis, our money has reached out to Hamilton, to Guelph, and other places which in the old presbytery, places like Wesley Urban Ministries in Hamilton, where we support children, youth, and seniors that are in poverty. Five Oaks Educational Center in Brantford, where they have been reinventing themselves. And places like programs like Healing the Past, which is an Indigenous program designed to support residential school survivors. Nationally, we've sponsored things that aren't necessarily charities, but further the United Church itself. Things like research and development of models within the United Church for property redevelopment. The United Church has something like 3,000 properties. At least 1,000 of them over the last number of years have been transforming. And so they needed a model to deal with that. We've been helping in that. We've also funded pilot projects to evaluate new methods of doing church within the United Church. And internationally, we've sponsored Roof for the Roofless in India, providing sewing machines, classrooms, training, and internet in rural communities. So we have transformed lives, and it's been more important than just helping to build the building. I'd like to thank, though, and point out people that are currently involved in it: Chris Middleborough, Kendra Hobbs, Robert Stapleford, Scott Doherty, Harold Reimer, Kathy Marling, Jan Peters, Tom Budd, and Douglas Mills from Region. And we encourage anybody who wants to be involved. It's not that time consuming, but anybody who wants to be involved to contact us, and we'd be happy to have you. Just like to spend a minute also talking about the role of the Board of Trustees. You probably don't realize it, but within the United Church, congregations are not permitted to directly hold land, buildings, and other forms of property. Therefore, trustees are required within the United Church. And that's the body that holds congregational property and trust. And basically the role of the trustees is to exercise a fiduciary responsibility with respect to the congregational property, ensure congregational property is used for purposes allowed by the United Church property rules, ensure buildings and other congregational property are maintained and repaired, ensure congregational funds are properly invested and utilized, and ensure adequate insurance in place. Current members of the Board of Trustees are Florian Myers, Rob Stapleford, Rick Goodman, Ted Vance, and myself. Thank you.